I stand up for myself by saying, I trust myself to know where to put my foot next. And it might just be laying down and letting it go through me. Or it might be, I'm going to leave the room. Or it might be, I really want to talk about this. And that to me is, I think, what we're all talking about. We all think standing up means challenging, and that's not what it is. So let's rename it for me. Lilian, please hold forth.
Thank you so much, Rory. That was beautiful. I loved how you said it all. It's just incredible. And that is exactly how it happened to me with my experience with my husband. How I went from him not wanting to, like, having this conversation after 5 years of us being in this relationship. It was a beautiful relationship, but I got to the point where I wanted marriage. I wanted more out of it. Right. And so when he said, I'm not ready, ooh, that's when I felt all these things. And like you were saying, I wanted to fight it. I was ready to go out there. And it's like, no, that's not how you stand for yourself. Yeah, that's not how you stand up for yourself, And so through obviously your tools and our Rory Ray coach, she was brilliant. We were able to process, I was able to process my feelings. And I was able to get to the point where I realized, wait a minute, I need to see this through the lens of love, right? And not blame him, not blame myself for what I really wanted, right? And really make that decision. And like you said, commit to what you really want, right? And knowing what you really want. And I couldn't get to that, to where I knew what I wanted without actually feeling through it, right? It wasn't like a logical thing that I just came up with. It was a feeling. It was feeling based. And I knew that was the right thing for me, right? And I feel like society does, obviously we are taught from, like, I was taught from a very young age, marriage and all that. And I did ask myself, what does it really mean for me? Do I really want that? Is this right for me? How does this feel? Right? It wasn't society, it wasn't my parents, it wasn't anyone else. It was me. It was inside of me. That decision came from within. And that's when I knew I was on the right path. Where I wanted, my desires was the right path. This is where I wanted to go. And so that's when I decided to put my desires ahead of my men as well. And that shifted everything for him. Because as soon as I was able to, not blame him, I didn't blame him, I didn't shame him. I accepted his no, I accepted what he had decided. And that's what switched everything for us, because then he was like, wow, okay, so she is strong in the inside. That's when you're strong in the inside, right? And you're soft in the outside, because you're able to communicate those feelings to someone, even though you're going through all of that. I went through the pain, the suffering, all of it. It was painful, right? Being with someone for 5 years, living with this man that I absolutely loved. And then I moved out. I decided to move out. That was so painful. It was so scary. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. Honestly, it was. And then living on my own for 2 months, having to go through all that. So this is when, your feminine power, when knowing what you want, right? Really knowing what you want comes into play. And this is what gave me that courage to go through with it. And he did come with his logic. He obviously did come with, like, marriage is just a piece of paper. Marriage is just this and that. But I had to stay with my feelings. And you always say, very, like, be a broken record. And that's exactly what I was. I was like, this is what I want. This is what I feel. This is what I desire. And I stayed with that. And I said to him, like, I know this is what you want. I respect it. Yet I feel this way. I want these things, right? And so it was from a different energy. Like you were saying, it's a different energy. It's a strong within and a softness in the outside. So I really wanted to share this with you ladies, because it is a concept that's we do get confused with this, as to how do we stand up for ourselves? How do we stand up, but not in like this, like, forceful way, in the masculine way, but in the soft feminine way of knowing what we want and seeing the situation through love.
That was so huge, Lilian, that story. My heart's just going like this. Can you tell us more? You felt something change inside you, the way you reacted, that was different than you'd been the whole 5 years before?
Oh, for sure. I felt so at ease. I felt so calm, even through the pain, even through the hurt, everything that was in me. I felt at ease. I felt calm. I felt the peace within because I surrendered to whatever was going to happen. Was going to happen, knowing that I could just let things unfold as they should.
What did it look like between you from that moment forward? And you really genuinely moved out? You got an apartment? You moved out? How did that whole thing happen? And what did he do? And how did he come back? Did he date you? What happened?
Yeah, so we had a conversation. I let him know I did the no girlfriend speech, which is a really good tool, ladies. But I feel like having a coach to guide you and hold your hand throughout the process is definitely key. I needed that because you're gonna have doubts. There's gonna a lot of fear that's gonna come up. You need someone to really hold your hand. So I had a very great coach who held my hand through it. And I did the no girlfriend speech. I said what I needed to say to him in this way, very, very like soft and warm. And he was shocked. He was shocked when I said that. He didn't know what to do, and he's like, okay. um and then I said, well, this is the day that I'm moving. And I packed my stuff. He was the one actually who drove me to my Airbnb. And I said to him, we'll see how things go. Like, let's see how we feel about this. And I said to him that, the no girlfriend speech is all about me saying also, like, I was going to start dating. And I did. I told him I was going to be dating other men, and I did date. Yeah. I opened a
Well,
relationship. I was ready for that. I opened a relationship and I said, I respect where you are. I respect that you don't want to get married yet. This is what I desire. And it feels right for me to start dating. And so, yeah, he was just like, he didn't know what to do. And how we related or how we communicated with each other was very loving. It wasn't the fighting anymore. It wasn't like, you better do this for me, you better commit to me. It was very like, this is what I want. I love you and I want the best for you and I want you to be happy. And I also want to be happy. That's how it worked out.
what eventually happened? So the tech of it is you went to an Airbnb, you didn't try to put a down payment on an apartment or anything.
No, I didn't want to do that because I felt like, I wanted to start to see if this space, giving him that space.
Super smart.
Yeah, just giving him the space, letting him know. I didn't want to go through that all because I knew, like, if anything happened, then it was going to be just more of a headache to, my masculine energy also like was there. Of like, how do we get this done without having it to be this thing, and giving him the space to figure it out. And for me too, to give myself that space to see, like, do I really want this with this man? Right. And see if he would step up. So yeah, I started dating. I was on the dating apps. I went on a few dates, and then like a few days after, I think it was just like 4 or 5 days after, he messaged me, and then he called me, and then we talked. Yeah, he came in just a few days. He's just like, okay, yeah, I want marriage. I want that with you. Let's make it happen. And that was another, obviously, other things that we needed to work on as a team, but that was the start of it. And that's how yeah. And then now, a week from now, not even, we're going to go on our honeymoon. So that's how life works.
Oh God. That story was priceless. You should do something more about that. That was awesome. And I want to ask you more about the details of it. I think the story is probably in your programs and how that all worked, or add it in there now, because everybody just really wants to know, what did I say? How can I tell the difference between being really pissed at him that I had to move out and actually really loving him but following my want? And I think what you said and you keep saying is just where it's at, which is you can feel the difference. One, you feel like you're sort of up here and your nerve is firing and on fire and moving, and just from around here, and you feel kind of stiff and you feel all this anxiety below it. because there's nothing else going on. It's just the anxiety reaction. What the right feeling is, you feel this whole openness all the way down to your toes. It feels like there's not a lead cinch on your belly. It just feels like it's moving around and feelings are going on in there. And you breathe and you don't feel constricted here. You feel like, oh, I'm in the right place. Yeah, it hurts. And the very doing of that dropping down into who you are, into your feminine energy, basically will bring up feelings. So expect that you're going to feel moved. It's most often the sad feeling is the first one that comes up. But if you just stay down there, all of a sudden there'll just be a feeling of peace and rightness, I think is what Lilian was saying. And that feeling of rightness with you just is so strong. It's so much bigger than what you thought you wanted in the moment with that guy. It's just so much bigger that you almost stop being afraid that it's ever going to happen, what you want. All of a sudden it's like, clear. Wait a minute. I cleared away the garbage. That makes me cry. I cleared the garbage out of the path. Instead of focusing on all the little pieces of paper and the garbage and the glasses of wine and things that are not important, but that felt important at the time. And the fact that I thought standing up for myself meant reacting to him and expressing anger and embracing that part of it, actually the road was the whole other direction of love, peace, self-trust. I've got a whole thing put together that basically, as I was working through it, it was that the self-trust happens first, and then the self-love follows. And they're all little tiny little baby steps. Self-trust, self-love. I'll take that step. I'll trust myself and take that step. Oh, no matter how it turned out, it felt really, really good to follow that step that came from me. You know, I start to recognize me, not the conglomeration of everything that I've become from all the impact of everyone else in my entire life. I can discern the difference between all of that and all of that technique and masculine strategy, which feels so out of place to me. I've moved from there to me, which is one foot after another, following one hit after another, one aha after another. And you recognize the aha by how it feels in your body, just as Lilian said. It landed as me. And I'm going to use this for a long time. The feeling is, it feels like me. And it reverberates in my whole body, and that's how I know it's me. And when that happens, there's self-trust, self-love, and all of a sudden you realize that there's no other option other than being loving towards him. There's no other option. Everything else doesn't belong to me. Everything else is some reaction from somewhere else. Yeah, I love him, and I would like for him to come down this path with me. If he doesn't want to, yeah, it's sad. But that means he cannot possibly be the right person. If he doesn't grab my hand and walk down the path that is right for me, with me, if he does not walk across the bridge with me, then he cannot possibly be the right person for me. And then this is what would happen for you, which is what so many of you feel. I know what that feels like, which is I'm with the wrong person, or I'm trying so hard to make this work. I'm trying so hard to make this work means you are on the wrong path. So do what Lilian did and pull back and step back. And before you stand up for yourself, find out what yourself is and what you want, and start the movement happening from there. Because at some point, Lilian had to get together the Airbnb. She had to pack her stuff. I'll bet every single day where she did something like that, masculine energy cropped up for her about how she should do things. And she just simply kept falling back into feminine energy, and then it felt okay. And that's how you just get stuff done. That's how you do it. That's how you make your way down the path. And after a while, your self-trust will start to build with your self-love. And all of a sudden, the constructs and the strategies and the steps you take become a little more easy. they make sense finally. They gel with me. They gel with you, not with some idea you had. Okay? Anybody else want to say anything? I feel like this is like an unending subject for us.
There's a lot of aha moments coming up here. Just continuing this reiteration of you can be warm, you can come from love and still feel the feelings. You don't have to completely change countries. And I know sometimes that is literally on the table. You don't have to completely flip your world upside down in order to stay with your dreams, with what you really, really, really want. I think I might have missed that whole thing. So I really appreciate that and Lilian's story and experience. I'm just going to take the next 3 days and then see what the next step is. We can go in really, really baby steps. We don't have to completely flip our life upside down, even though it's still going to feel that way, even with the baby steps.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Like baby steps. I was going to feel through it, through the 2 months that I gave myself and him. And then I was going to make the decision whether I was going to stay or leave. So it wasn't like I was going to turn my life upside down at that moment. I was just going to take the next step. What felt right for me? That's the key. What feels right for you, right? And that is why feminine energy is so powerful, because once you feel that, once you are in that energy, then the right step is so clear. The path just clears up. And that's the beautiful part of it. I love just being in that energy, because that's when I know I'm in the right path. And it's in my heart, and I'm just like, I'm even feeling emotional now, because it is. It's like that feeling of like, it's there. I'm in the right path. And this was my right path.
Yeah, this just was a really, really good subject. I know there's comments about rising above the feelings and how to stay with your want. I think we can continue that.
No, drop down below the feelings, not above. You never want to go up. Go down into your body. Feel your whole body activated. Feel your toes. Feel it flowing through all of you, because it goes down. There's frustration, anger, sad, misery, despair, terror, and fear, everything down, down, down to love. And it just encompasses you, just as Lilian explained. It's actually a technique. When I was a rebirther, we did this work. I can tell you about it if you're all interested, but essentially I was certified rebirther. We used to lay down on the floor and basically breathe till we hyperventilated and could not move and became stiff. I want to tell you, the feelings come up and you move through them almost like you can feel the cascade. You can almost feel when you're in the upper portion of it, the normal everyday stuff. And then when you get down to the bottom, it just feels like a river of love. It just feels like, why didn't I feel that in the first place? Whoa, that just encapsulates everything. The technique, I can't really, but it's, you sit with somebody and that person breathes. And it's just about breathing. So if anybody tells you to breathe, yeah, breathe. And there are many ways to breathe. We can do that sometime. There's lots of different ways to breathe in and out. And most interestingly enough, nervous system breathing, to calm yourself down and anchor yourself, has to do with the exhale being longer than the inhale. And there are many different counts and many different styles and ways. But breathing is about oxygen. And when oxygen comes into your body big time, like we do in rebirthing, which is a version of Reichian therapy. You can go look it up if you want. Wilhelm Reich, another man. Rebirthing, however, was built by women. And I was right there at the beginning, Benny Casey, a lot of us. And there's a very spiritual aspect to it, but essentially you are taking in so much oxygen and breathing out so much oxygen that your body becomes overloaded with oxygen. It may not be safe. We just did unsafe things then. So people do it a lot more guided and more gentle now that they do it. But those of us have had that background. I did it in swimming pools, naked, being fed along a birth canal. I mean, we were all, doing that kind of stuff when I was coming up through the ranks as a human being. What happens is there's so much oxygen flooding your system that all your defenses collapse at once. You can imagine it. all the defenses collapse. They just go away. All of a sudden, all that stuff we're just wanting to sink down into, it's like there's no more defenses. It's just all breaks loose. It is holy hell. And all of a sudden, you know, screaming, crying, it just memories being there. Rebirthing is called it because we're said to remember our moment of birth and the what it was like to come out of the safe womb into the world and hear all this noise and everything. So imagine that, without going too much further into this, imagine every moment as you rebirthing yourself. Yeah, we're in a cocoon of defenses. And as soon as we let that dissolve by dropping in, there are many other techniques that you can do that aren't so, but actually allow you to drop in. And I want to tell you, having a coach be with you, as Lilian says, is all, it's important. It's having somebody sit beside you while you dissolve your defenses and holding on to you in the exterior world so that you can feel safe. And a relationship should be like that too. As I talk about sanctuary relationship, your man should be there if all your defenses collapse and he can be your link to the exterior world, but you can be down in your depths. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome to feel that safe? So you don't want to be with a man who's hard work. I mean, he's not going to make a safe place for you. We got a lot to talk about, but breathing, oxygen, letting your defenses crumble. The modern siren way to do it is step by baby step, letting these defenses, we want to sneak past them. All that breathing and stuff absolutely doesn't even allow your defense system to mount an offense. But we can't do that enough just walking around. If we just try to make affirmations and say, oh, I can do this or that or the other, your defense system is going to come up and say, no, 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 no. So the whole modern siren method is about melting through all of this stuff in a gentle way. That's what riffing is and all of that, so that we don't hit a red flag alert in our system, you know, going, wait, gotta be safe. Let's put the crosshairs down. No, you just kind of keep moving down. And while you're moving down, let's follow Lilian's direction here and Natalina's and keep walking down the path that lights up for you. Let's even call it that way. It lights up for you, or you have magic that lights it up for you. That's coming from you. How's that? When you get down deep, your lights turn on and all of a sudden the lights light up the direction you're supposed to go. So you just want to walk down that and it's effortless. I like that. Let's call that a new tool. The lights, they just kind of go on and maybe you have a color, you know, pink, you know, green, a green light. They came out. But if you try and make those green lights come on from, you know, up here, it doesn't work. That's masculine energy. It has to just happen. And I think as Lilian described it, just happen. And that is the true you that you want to trust and follow.
I really love that, Rory. Things do start to line up for you. So for me, it was with the Airbnb. My girlfriend was going to Costa Rica for 2 months. She rented out through Airbnb for me. So we negotiated that and it worked out, right? And so like things do, like as you process, as you feel through, as you use the tools, as you do all that, things start lighting up for you. And that is exactly what happened. Yeah.
It lines up for you. Let's put that one down. The lights lines up for you. It was almost like everything just jumped on showed up on your path. Oh, this is so powerful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lilian.